There is a silent power that shapes your life every single day. It decides how people see you, how they treat you, and what opportunities come your way. That power is the way you speak, not just the words you use, but the way you deliver them, the confidence behind them, the emotion inside them, the intention that drives them. Most people go through life without ever mastering this power. They speak without thinking, they react without understanding, they express without clarity, and then they wonder why. They are misunderstood, ignored, or underestimated. The truth is simple: life does not respond to what you think. It responds to what you communicate. You may have brilliant ideas, you may have strong potential, you may have deep knowledge, but if you cannot express them effectively, they remain invisible. Smart speaking is not about sounding superior. It is about being understood, respected, and remembered. It is about turning your thoughts into influence, your ideas into action, your presence into impact. In real life, people judge quickly. They decide within seconds whether to trust you or ignore you. Your words, your tone, your confidence all send signals. These signals tell others whether you are strong or weak, clear or confused, genuine or fake. This is not about manipulation. This is about awareness. When you understand the psychology of communication, you stop speaking randomly and start speaking with purpose. You begin to notice how small changes in words can create big differences in reactions. You realize that speaking less can make you more powerful, and speaking right can change your entire life. This journey is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming a sharper, clearer, stronger version of yourself. You do not need perfect grammar. You do not need a fancy vocabulary. What you need is clarity, confidence, and connection. This book is built on reality, not theory. It is based on how people actually think, feel, and respond. You will learn how to speak in a way that builds trust, how to express ideas with impact, how to handle difficult conversations, and how to create respect without forcing it. This is not a quick trick or shortcut. It is a mindset and a skill that once mastered stays with you forever, because in the end, your voice is not just a tool. It is your identity, your influence, your power. And once you learn to use it wisely, nothing about your life stays the same. Chapter 1: The truth about smart speaking. Most people believe that speaking smart means using difficult words or sounding highly educated, but reality tells a different story. Smart speaking is not about showing intelligence. It is about creating understanding. You can use the most advanced vocabulary and still fail to communicate. At the same time, you can use very simple words and still leave a powerful impact. The difference is not in the words. The difference is in awareness. A smart speaker understands people before trying to impress them. They focus on connection instead of validation. In real life, people are not sitting and analyzing your grammar. They are feeling your energy. They are sensing your intention. They are deciding whether to trust you or ignore you. If your words make them feel confused, they disconnect. If your words make them feel respected, they engage. This is why many intelligent people struggle in communication. They know a lot, but they fail to express it in a way others can receive. Knowledge without clarity becomes noise. Speaking is the ability to turn thoughts into clear, meaningful messages. It is the skill of making others understand without effort. This requires slowing down. Most people speak fast because they are either nervous or trying to prove something. In that rush, they lose clarity. They lose control. They lose impact. Smart speakers do not rush. They take a moment. They think. They choose their words carefully. This pause is not weakness. It is control. Another important truth is that speaking smart is not always about speaking more. Sometimes it is about speaking less. Silence can be powerful when used wisely. When you speak only when needed, your words carry weight. People pay more attention. But when you talk constantly, your words lose value. Smart speaking also means understanding timing. Even the right words at the wrong time can create problems. You must sense the situation. You must read the emotions in the room. You must adjust your tone and message accordingly. This is where psychology becomes important. Human beings are emotional first and logical later. If your words ignore emotions, they will not be accepted. If your words respect emotions, they will be remembered. Example: a leader sees that a team member made a mistake. He says, "This is unacceptable. You need to fix yourself." The team member feels attacked. Fear replaces motivation. Performance drops further. Now another leader says, "I noticed something went wrong here. Let us understand what happened and fix it together." The same issue is addressed, but now the person feels supported. Confidence remains intact. Improvement becomes possible. Example: a student asks a question, and the teacher responds, "This is basic. You should already know this." Student feels embarrassed. He stops asking questions. Learning slows down. Another teacher says, "This is a good question. Many people get confused here. Let me explain it clearly." Now the student feels safe. Curiosity increases. Learning improves. These small differences in words create big differences in outcomes. Smart speaking is not about dominating conversations. It is about guiding them. It is not about proving you are right. It is about making communication effective. When you understand this truth, you stop trying to sound smart, and you start becoming smart in the way you speak. This is the foundation of powerful communication. Without this mindset, no technique will work. But with this mindset, even simple words become powerful. This is where your journey begins. Chapter 2. The psychology behind words. Words are not just a way to share information, are a way to influence emotions. Every sentence you speak creates a reaction. Sometimes that reaction is visible. Sometimes it is hidden. But it always exists. Human beings do not listen like machines. They do not process words in a neutral way. They filter everything through feelings, past experiences, and beliefs. That is why the same sentence can create different reactions in different people. Smart speaking begins when you understand this simple truth. People respond to how you make them feel more than what you say. If your words make them feel respected, they listen. If your words make them feel judged, they resist. Is the psychology behind communication. Many people focus only on delivering their message. They ignore how the message is received. That is where communication breaks. Your goal is not just to speak. Your goal is to be understood, and understanding happens when emotions are aligned. Tone plays a powerful role here. You can say the right words in the wrong tone and still fail. You can say simple words in the right tone and succeed. Your tone carries your intention. Even when you are silent, your tone speaks. Another important psychological factor is simplicity. The human brain prefers what is easy to understand. When you use complicated language, you increase mental effort. When effort increases, attention decreases. That is why simple communication feels smart, because it respects the listener's mind. Smart speakers reduce confusion. They do not increase it. They break complex ideas into clear thoughts. They speak in a way that feels natural and effortless. Another key principle is validation. Every human being wants to feel important. They want to feel heard. They want to feel that their opinion matters. When your communication ignores this need, people close themselves. But when you acknowledge their perspective, even if you disagree, they become open. Validation does not mean agreement. It means recognition. You are saying, "I see you, I hear you." This creates trust. Example: two colleagues disagree on an idea. One says your idea will not work. The other person feels rejected. The conversation becomes tense. Now, imagine saying, "I understand your idea, and it has value, but I see a possible challenge here." Now the disagreement feels respectful. The conversation stays productive. Example: a parent talks to a child who made a mistake. The parent says, "You always do this. You never learn." The child feels labeled. Confidence drops. Fear increases. Another parent says, "I know you tried, but something went wrong. Let us figure it out together." Now the child feels safe. Learning becomes possible. These are small shifts in language, but they reflect deep psychological understanding. Smart speaking is not about controlling people. It is about understanding. Then when you understand how people think and feel, you naturally choose better words. You do not force communication, you flow with it. This is what makes communication powerful, because at its core, communication is not about words alone, it is about human connection. Chapter 3, Confidence Without Arrogance. Confidence is one of the most powerful elements of smart speaking, but it is also one of the most misunderstood. Many people believe confidence means speaking loudly, dominating conversations, or always being right. But true confidence is quiet, stable, and controlled. It does not need to prove itself. It naturally shows through clarity and presence. Arrogance, on the other hand, is loud and insecure. It tries to cover weakness by overpowering others. Smart speaking requires confidence, not arrogance. A confident speaker does not rush. They take their time. They think before they speak. Their words are simple but strong. An arrogant speaker interrupts. They speak without listening. They focus more on winning than understanding. This difference changes everything. Confidence builds respect. Arrogance destroys it. When you speak with confidence, people feel safe listening to you. When you speak with arrogance, people become defensive. Real confidence comes from self-belief. It comes from knowing that your value does not depend on others' approval. You do not need to impress. You need to express. When you stop trying to sound smart, you start speaking smart. One major mistake people make is over-explaining. They think that using more words will make them look intelligent, but in reality, it makes them look unsure. Clarity is power. Smart speakers say what is needed, and then they stop. They do not fill silence with unnecessary words. They allow their message to settle. Another important part of confidence is accepting uncertainty. You do not need to know everything. In fact, pretending to know everything damages trust. You admit that you do not know something. You show honesty and strength. People respect that. Confidence also shows in body language and tone. Even simple words can sound powerful when spoken with calmness, and even strong ideas can sound weak when spoken with hesitation. Your voice reflects your mindset. If you doubt yourself, your voice will reveal it. If you trust yourself, your voice will carry it. Example: a person presents an idea and says, "I am not sure, but this might be wrong. Maybe we can try this." The message loses strength. People hesitate to support it. Now, the same idea is presented as, "This is my suggestion. We can test it and improve it together." The message becomes clear and confident. People feel more open to it. Example: in a discussion, one person keeps interrupting, trying to prove their point. Others feel ignored. The conversation becomes stressful. Another person listens fully and then responds calmly. They speak clearly without rushing. Now the room feels balanced. People respect their presence. Confidence is not about controlling others. It is about controlling yourself. When you control your thoughts, your tone, and your words, you naturally become a powerful communicator. This kind of confidence cannot be faked. It must be built. Once it is built, your communication changes completely. You no longer speak to impress. You speak to connect. That is what truly makes your words powerful. Chapter 4, The Art of Listening. Most people believe communication is about speaking, but the truth is deeper. Communication begins with listening. If you do not understand what others are saying, you cannot respond in a meaningful way. Many people listen only to reply. They do not listen to understand. While the other person is speaking, they are already preparing their answer. This creates disconnection. Smart speakers do the opposite. They give full attention. They listen without interrupting. They observe not just words, but emotions, because words tell the story, but emotions reveal the truth. When someone feels truly heard, they naturally become open. Their tone softens. Their resistance decreases. Their trust increases. Listening is not silence. It is active awareness. It means being present in the moment, not lost in your own thoughts. It means understanding the message behind the words. Sometimes people do not say exactly what they feel, but their tone, their expressions, and their pauses reveal it. A smart communicator notices these signals. Another important part of listening is patience. People often rush conversations. They cut others off. They assume they already know what will be said. This creates frustration. When you allow people to complete their thoughts, you show respect. Respect is the foundation of strong communication. Listening also helps you respond better. When you understand clearly, your response becomes more accurate, more relevant, and more impactful. Without listening, your words become guesswork. Example: two friends are talking. One shares a problem. The other quickly interrupts and gives advice without fully understanding. The person feels unheard. The advice feels useless. Now imagine the listener says, "I understand this is difficult. Tell me more about what happened." Now the speaker feels valued. They open up more. The conversation becomes meaningful. Example: in a workplace meeting, an employee tries to explain a challenge. The manager interrupts and assumes the issue. The solution given does not solve the real problem. Another manager listens fully, asks a few calm questions, and then responds. Now the solution fits the situation. The employee feels respected. Listening is a skill that transforms communication. It shifts your focus from yourself to others. And when you focus on others, your words automatically become more effective. Smart speaking is not just about what you say. It is about how well you listen before you speak. Because the better you listen, the smarter you speak. Chapter 5: Clarity over complexity. Many people believe that using complicated words makes them sound intelligent. But in reality, complexity often creates confusion. Smart speaking is built on clarity. Clarity means your message is easy to understand. It flows naturally. It reaches the listener without effort. When people have to struggle to understand you, they lose interest. When they understand you quickly, they stay engaged. This is the difference between speaking to impress and speaking to connect. Complicated language may sound impressive for a moment, but it does not build lasting impact. Simple, clear communication creates trust. Smart speakers focus on making ideas easy, not difficult. They break big thoughts into smaller parts. They remove unnecessary words. They avoid over-explaining. Because more words do not mean more value. They often mean less focus. Clarity also shows confidence. When you are clear, you do not hide behind long sentences. You express directly. When you are unsure, you add extra words to protect yourself. This weakens your message. Another important part of clarity is structure. Your thoughts must be organized before they are spoken. If your mind is scattered, your words will be scattered. Smart speakers take a moment to think. They arrange their thoughts, then they speak. This small pause creates a big difference. Clarity also requires honesty. When you speak honestly, your message becomes natural. When you try to sound different from who you are, your communication becomes forced. People sense this quickly. Authenticity makes your words stronger. Example: a person explains an idea using long, complex sentences. Listener becomes confused and stops paying attention. Now the same idea is explained in simple, clear steps. The listener understands quickly and responds with interest. The idea did not change. Only the clarity changed. Example: in a meeting, someone says, "I was just thinking that maybe, if possible, we could try something like this approach." The message feels uncertain and unclear. Another person says, "I suggest we try this approach." Now the message is direct and confident. Clarity removes doubt. It makes your communication powerful. Smart speaking is not about how much you say. It is about how well you are understood. When your words are clear, your impact becomes strong. And when your impact is strong, people remember you. Because in the end, clarity is what turns communication into influence. Chapter 6: The power of tone. Words alone do not create meaning. The way you say them gives them life. Tone is the emotional layer of communication. It tells people how to feel about your words. You can say something positive in a negative tone, and it will sound like criticism. You can say something simple in a warm tone, and it will feel supportive. This is why tone often matters more than words. People may forget your exact sentence, but they will remember how your voice made them feel. Tone reflects your inner state. If you are calm, your tone becomes steady. If you are angry, your tone becomes sharp. If you are unsure, your tone becomes weak. Is why controlling your tone begins with controlling your emotions. Smart speakers do not just choose words carefully. They manage their tone consciously. Understand that even a small change in tone can change the entire meaning. Another important truth is that tone travels faster than logic. Before people process your words, they react to your tone. This reaction shapes their response. If your tone feels respectful, they open up. If your tone feels aggressive, they close themselves. Tone also builds or breaks trust. A person may say the right thing, but if the tone feels fake or forced, trust disappears. Authenticity in tone is powerful. It shows that your words are real. Another aspect of tone is consistency. If your tone keeps changing unpredictably, people feel uncomfortable. But when your tone is stable, people feel safe communicating with you. Smart speakers maintain a balanced tone even in difficult situations. They do not let emotions take control of their voice. Instead, they stay calm and intentional. Example: a person says thank you, but in a cold or irritated tone. The words are polite, but the feeling is negative. The listener senses the mismatch and feels uncomfortable. Now, the same words are said with warmth and sincerity. The listener feels appreciated. Same words, different tone, different impact. Example: in a disagreement, one person raises their voice and speaks harshly. The situation becomes tense. The other person reacts emotionally. Another person keeps their tone calm and steady. Even while disagreeing, now, the conversation stays controlled, and a solution becomes possible. Tone is a silent communicator. It speaks even when your words are simple. If you master your tone, you gain control over how your message is received. Smart speaking is not just about what you say. It is about how you make it feel, because in communication, feeling is often stronger than logic. Chapter 7: Speaking with emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand feelings, your own and those of others. In communication, this ability becomes power because words without emotional awareness often create damage, even when the intention is good. Smart speaking requires more than thinking. It requires feeling and understanding. Many people focus only on what they want to say. They ignore how the other person might feel. This creates misunderstanding. Emotional intelligence helps you adjust your words based on the situation and the person. It allows you to respond instead of react. Reaction is fast and emotional. Response is calm and thoughtful. Smart speakers do not let emotions control their words. They use emotions to guide them. They recognize when someone is stressed, when someone feels insecure, when someone needs support instead of correction. This awareness changes everything. When people feel understood, they become more open. When they feel judged, they become defensive. Emotional intelligence also means controlling your own emotions. You may feel anger, frustration, or disappointment, but expressing them without control weakens your communication. It creates conflict instead of solutions. Smart speakers pause before speaking in emotional moments. They take control of their reaction and then choose their response. This pause is a sign of strength. Another important part of emotional intelligence is empathy. Empathy means seeing the situation from another person's perspective. It does not mean you agree. It means you understand. When you show empathy, your words become softer, but still strong. People feel safe listening to you. Example: a colleague misses a deadline. One person says you are irresponsible. You always mess things up. This creates shame and defensiveness. The problem remains. Another person says, I see something went wrong with the deadline. Is everything okay? And how can we fix this? Now the focus shifts to solution. The person feels supported. Example: a friend is upset and sharing their feelings. One person says you are overthinking this. It is not a big deal. The friend feels dismissed and stops sharing. Another person says, I understand why this is bothering you. It makes sense that you feel this way. Now the friend feels heard and the conversation becomes deeper. Emotional Intelligence makes your words human. It connects logic with feeling. Without it, communication feels cold. With it, communication feels. Real smart speaking is not about being perfect. It is about being aware. When you understand emotions, you choose better words naturally. When your words respect emotions, your influence grows without force, because people do not just listen to intelligence. They respond to understanding. Chapter 8. The strength of silence. Most people fear silence. They feel the need to fill every moment with words. But silence is not weakness. It is a form of control. Smart speakers understand that not every moment requires speech. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response. Silence gives space. It allows thoughts to settle. It allows emotions to calm down. It allows the other person to reflect. When you speak constantly, your words lose value. When you speak with intention, your words gain weight. Silence creates that intention. It shows that you are not desperate to be heard. It shows confidence and self-control. Another important truth is that silence helps you think. When you pause before speaking, you avoid saying things you may regret. You choose better words. You respond instead of reacting. This is especially important in emotional situations. In anger, people often say things that damage relationships, but a moment of silence can prevent that damage. Silence also encourage others to speak. When you give space, people feel invited to share more. They open up. They express deeper thoughts. This improves communication. Smart speakers use silence as a tool. They pause after important points. They allow their message to sink in. They do not rush to fill the gap. This creates impact. Silence can also communicate respect. Someone is speaking, and you do not interrupt. You show that their words matter. This builds trust. Another powerful use of silence is in difficult conversations. Instead of arguing immediately, a calm pause can reduce tension. It signals control and maturity. Example, during a disagreement, one person reacts instantly. They raise their voice and argue. The situation becomes worse. Emotions take over. Another person pauses, takes a breath, and then speaks calmly. Now, the conversation slows down. Tension reduces. A solution becomes possible. Example, in a meeting, someone presents an idea. Another person quickly rejects it without thinking. This shuts down discussion. A smarter approach is to pause, consider the idea, and then respond thoughtfully. Now, the conversation remains open and ideas are explored. Silence is not empty. It carries meaning. It shows confidence, patience, and awareness. Smart speaking is not about filling space with words. It is about using both words and silence wisely. Because sometimes what you do not say is more powerful than what you say. Chapter 9. Asking the right questions. Speaking smart is not only about what you say, it is also about what you ask. The right question can guide a conversation, open minds, and reveal hidden insights. Many people ask questions without thought. They ask to satisfy curiosity or to show they know something. But smart speakers ask questions with purpose. Questions are tools. They shape thinking. They create understanding. They build connection. A powerful question makes people think. It encourages reflection. It invites dialogue. Weak questions create confusion or defensiveness. Strong questions create clarity and engagement. Another important principle is listening to the answer. A question is only useful if you truly hear the response. People can sense when you ask only for appearances. When you ask to control or to win, they shut down. Smart speakers ask to understand, not to judge. Open-ended questions are especially powerful. They do not limit answers. They encourage explanation and insight. Closed questions may be necessary sometimes, but overusing them restricts conversation. The tone and phrasing of a question matter as much as the words. Question can sound accusing or supportive. It can create resistance or collaboration. Example, a manager asks an employee why this task was not completed on time. The employee feels blamed. Defensiveness rises. Another manager asks, what challenges did you face with this task, and how can I support you? The employee feels understood. Solutions are easier to find. Example, a friend asks another friend, did you make a mistake again? The friend feels judged. Trust decreases. Another friend asks what happened and how can we fix this together? The friend feels safe. The conversation becomes constructive. Smart questioning is about curiosity with respect. It shows interest without judgment. It shifts focus from criticism to understanding. When you master asking the right questions, you guide conversations without forcing them. You influence thinking without controlling it, because powerful communication is not about telling people what to do. It is about helping them think clearly, see solutions, and feel understood. Questions are the bridge between listening and speaking. The better your questions, the smarter your communication becomes. Chapter 10: Storytelling as a Tool. Speaking smart is not just about facts or logic. It is also about creating connection. And one of the most powerful ways to connect is through storytelling. Stories have been used for thousands of years to teach, influence, and inspire action. The human brain remembers stories far better than abstract information. A story gives context. It creates emotion. It helps people see themselves in the situation. Smart speakers use storytelling to make ideas memorable, to simplify complex concepts, and to engage emotion. Stories are powerful because they combine logic with feeling. They allow people to experience ideas instead of just hearing them. Another important aspect of storytelling is relevance. A story should relate to the point you are trying to make. It should feel authentic and believable. People can sense when a story is forced or exaggerated. Timing is also key. The right story at the right moment amplifies impact. The wrong story or a long story can distract from your message. Storytelling also allows you to influence subtly. You do not need to argue or lecture. You simply share an experience. People draw their own conclusions. Example: a manager wants to encourage a team to take initiative. Instead of saying, "Take more risks or be proactive," they share a story about a past project where a small initiative led to big success. The team feels inspired. The lesson is clear without being imposed. Example: a teacher wants students to value persistence. Instead of saying you must work hard, they share a story about someone who failed many times but eventually succeeded. The students connect emotionally. The principle is understood naturally. Storytelling makes communication human. It moves people emotionally and intellectually. It creates connection that facts alone cannot achieve. Smart speakers balance facts and stories. They know when to use each. They use stories to illustrate points, not replace substance. When you master storytelling, you make your communication memorable, your ideas relatable, and your presence influential. Because at the heart of smart speaking, people do not just want to hear information. They want to feel it, and stories make them feel. Chapter 11: Handling difficult conversations. Every person faces conversations that are uncomfortable or challenging, whether at work with a colleague, at home with a family member, or with a friend. These moments test your ability to communicate smartly. Most people react in two ways. They either avoid the conversation completely, or they speak impulsively without thinking. Avoiding the conversation delays resolution and often increases tension. Speaking impulsively can damage relationships and create conflict. Smart speakers approach difficult conversations with preparation. Awareness and calm preparation means understanding your goal. What outcome do you want? What message do you need to convey? Awareness means noticing your own emotions and anticipating the other person's feelings. It means paying attention to tone and body language, as well as words. Calm means maintaining control even when emotions run high. Pausing before responding prevents escalation. Another important principle is focusing on the problem, not the person. Attacking character creates defensiveness. Addressing behavior or the situation creates solutions. Framing your words in terms of impact and shared goals encourages collaboration instead of conflict. Example: a manager needs to discuss poor performance with an employee. One approach is to say you are failing and need to improve immediately. This creates fear and resistance. A smarter approach is to say, "I notice challenges in completing your tasks. Let us understand what obstacles you are facing and how I can support. Youth conversation becomes constructive. The employee feels supported. Solutions are easier to find. Example, a friend is upset about something you did. One approach is to defend yourself immediately and argue the conflict escalates. A smarter approach is to say, I understand you are upset. Let us talk about what happened and how we can move forward. The tension reduces. The conversation becomes productive. Listening actively during difficult conversations is crucial. It shows respect. It reveals underlying issues. It prevents misunderstandings. Pausing before speaking allows you to choose words carefully. It prevents emotional outbursts. It demonstrates self-control. Body language and tone are equally important. Calm posture and steady tone convey confidence and openness. Aggressive gestures or sharp tone trigger defensiveness. Smart speakers also use questions to guide discussion. Open-ended questions encourage dialogue and uncover root causes by focusing on understanding and resolution rather than winning the argument. You transform difficult conversations into opportunities for growth and connection. Handling these conversations effectively requires practice. The more you face challenges with awareness and calm, the more natural smart speaking becomes difficult. Conversations are not obstacles. They are opportunities to demonstrate clarity, confidence, emotional intelligence, and influence. When you master them, you handle conflict without fear. You build stronger relationships, and your communication becomes truly powerful. Chapter 12. Persuasion without pressure. Smart speaking is not about forcing people to agree with you. It is about influencing them in a way that feels natural and respectful. Many people confuse persuasion with pressure. They try to dominate conversations or overwhelm others with facts. This often creates resistance instead of agreement. True persuasion is subtle. It works by aligning your words with understanding and emotional intelligence. The first principle of persuasion is empathy. You must understand what the other person values, what motivates them, and what concerns they have. When you speak in a way that resonates with their perspective, they are more likely to listen and consider your ideas. Another principle is credibility. People are influenced by those they trust. Trust is built through honesty, consistency, and authenticity. Your words do not match your actions or intentions. Persuasion fails. Clarity is also essential. If your message is confusing or scattered, people struggle to follow. An agreement becomes unlikely. Persuasion is most effective when you combine logic with emotion. Facts support your argument, but emotion drives people to care. People are not convinced by logic alone. They are moved by feeling understood, respected, and inspired. Example, a team member is reluctant to adopt a new workflow. One approach is to insist this is the best method and must be followed. The team member resists. The change fails. A smarter approach is to say, I understand this change may feel challenging. Here is why it helps the team achieve goals faster. Let us discuss how we can make it easier for youth. Team member feels heard. They are more open to trying the new workflow. Example, a friend does not want to join a fitness program. One approach is to pressure them with reasons why they should. They feel pushed and resist. A smarter approach is to say, I know starting something new is hard. This program helped me feel more energetic and confident. If you like, we can try it together. Friend feels supported. They are more likely to participate willingly. Smart persuasion is about guiding thought, not forcing action. It respects autonomy. It builds willingness instead of compliance. When you master this skill, you influence outcomes. Without conflict, you inspire cooperation, and you create long-term respect. Persuasion without pressure is a cornerstone of smart communication. It allows you to lead and inspire while maintaining trust and connection. Chapter 1-3, Building Rapport Instantly. One of the most powerful skills in smart speaking is the ability to build rapport quickly. Rapport is the connection that makes people feel comfortable and understood. Without it, even the clearest message can fail. Many people underestimate the importance of rapport. They focus solely on delivering information or proving a point, But influence and understanding often begin with connection. Building rapport starts with attention. You must notice the other person's words, tone, and body language. You must show genuine interest in what they are saying. Mirroring is a subtle technique that helps create rapport. Matching the other person's energy, posture, and pace can make them feel aligned with you. It must be natural and authentic. Forced mirroring is easily detected and can create discomfort. Empathy is another key factor. When people sense that you understand their perspective, they open up more. They become receptive to your ideas. Humor can also build connection when used appropriately. A shared smile or lighthearted comment reduces tension and makes communication feel human. Another important aspect is validation. Acknowledging others' thoughts and feelings does not mean you agree with them. It means you recognize their perspective. Validation builds trust and reduces defensiveness. Listening actively is part of building rapport. When you respond thoughtfully to what they say, it signals that their words matter. Example: a salesperson meets a potential client for the first time. Instead of immediately presenting products, they ask about the client's goals, challenges, and experiences. They listen attentively and respond thoughtfully. The client feels understood. They are more open to suggestions and proposals. Example: two colleagues meet to discuss a project. One begins by asking about the other's weekend and showing interest in their experiences before discussing work. The conversation flows naturally. Ideas are shared freely, and collaboration improves. Building rapport is not about manipulation. It is about human connection. When you establish trust and comfort quickly, your communication becomes more effective, your influence grows, and your relationships strengthen. Smart speaking is not just what you say, it is how you make others feel. And rapport is the bridge that turns words into connection. Chapter 14. Adapting to your audience. One of the most overlooked aspects of smart speaking is adapting your message to your audience. Different people have different perspectives, experiences, and priorities. What resonates with one person may confuse or alienate another. Many people speak the same way to everyone. They focus on what they want to say instead of how it will be received. This approach reduces impact and sometimes creates misunderstanding. Smart speakers adjust their words, tone, and examples based on the audience. They ask themselves, what matters to this person, what background they have, what emotions are present, and how they are likely to respond. Adaptation also means simplifying or elaborating, depending on the listener. Some people prefer detailed explanations. Others respond better to concise points. Knowing which approach to use improves clarity, and engagement. Tone and pace are equally important. Speaking too fast or too slow can affect comprehension. A tone that is too formal or too casual may create distance. Matching the style of the audience builds connection without losing authenticity. Another key element is relevance. Examples and stories should reflect experiences the audience can relate to. When people see themselves in your words, they pay attention. They remember the message. Example: a manager explains a new process to a team of experienced professionals. They focus on high-level strategy and results. The team understands quickly and engages with ideas. Same explanation given to new hires would cause confusion and frustration. Instead, the manager breaks the process into steps and provides simple examples. The team follows easily and feels confident. Example: a speaker talks about financial planning to young adults. Using technical jargon about investments and markets loses attention. Instead, they share simple principles and relatable stories about saving and budgeting. The audience connects emotionally and grasps the key lessons. Adapting to your audience is not about changing your message completely. It is about framing it in a way that others can understand and relate to. It shows awareness, respect, and intelligence. When you master this skill, your communication becomes flexible and effective. Your influence expands, and your ideas reach further, because smart speaking is not just what you know. It is how well you can deliver that knowledge to the right people in the right way. Chapter 15. Mastering nonverbal communication is not just about words. In fact, a large part of what people perceive comes from nonverbal cues. Your posture, gestures, facial expressions, and eye contact all send messages that often speak louder than words. Many people focus only on what they say. They ignore how they appear. This creates mixed signals and reduces the effectiveness of their communication. Smart speakers understand that nonverbal communication reinforces their words. It conveys confidence, authenticity, and emotional state. Posture is a key element. Standing or sitting upright conveys confidence and presence. Slouching or closed-off positions create the impression of insecurity or disinterest. Gestures help emphasize points. They guide attention and make explanations more vivid. Controlled gestures feel natural and confident. Excessive or erratic movements create distraction. Facial expressions must match your message. Smiles convey warmth and openness. Serious expressions convey focus and importance. Inconsistencies between words and expressions cause confusion and reduce trust. Eye contact builds connection and trust. It shows attentiveness and sincerity. Avoiding eye contact can signal insecurity or disinterest. Staring too intensely can feel aggressive. Balance and natural flow are key. Another nonverbal aspect is space and proximity. Respecting personal space makes people comfortable. Too close or too distant can affect how your words are received. Tone of voice, while verbal, is also nonverbal in its emotional impact. Pitch, pace, and volume influence perception and engagement. Example: a presenter delivers an important point while slouching with crossed arms and minimal eye contact. The audience feels disconnected. The message loses impact. Now, the presenter stands upright, uses controlled gestures, smiles appropriately, and maintains confident eye contact. The same words feel engaging and authoritative. The audience pays attention and remembers the message. Example: during a conversation, a manager gives feedback while the co-listener leaning back and speaking slowly with a calm tone. The employee feels respected and receptive. Another manager delivers the same feedback while fidgeting, avoiding eye contact, and speaking rapidly. The employee feels anxious and defensive. Nonverbal communication can enhance or undermine even the smartest words. Mastering it ensures that your presence supports your message. Your words and actions align. Naturally, people feel your confidence, sincerity, and clarity when you combine verbal and nonverbal communication effectively. You speak not just with words, but with your entire presence. And that is the essence of powerful communication. Conclusion: speaking smart is not about impressing others. It is about creating understanding, connection, and trust. Throughout this journey, you have learned that communication is not just words. It is awareness of people, their emotions, and the way they receive your message. You have seen that clarity matters more than complexity, that confidence without arrogance opens doors, that listening and silence are as powerful as speaking, that questions and stories guide conversations without force. The reality is that life responds to what you communicate, not just what you know. Knowledge without expression remains invisible. Ideas without clarity fail to inspire. Potential without influence stays untapped. When you master the psychology of powerful communication, you turn your words into tools of impact. You learn to express yourself in ways that others understand and respect. You create trust. You open minds. You inspire action. Smart speaking is a skill and a mindset. It requires awareness, practice, and emotional intelligence. It is built on honesty, respect, and presence. It is not about perfection. It is about authenticity. When you speak smart, you stop reacting. You start responding. You stop competing for attention. You start creating influence. Your voice becomes more than sound. It becomes your identity, your presence, and your power. This is not a skill you learn once and forget. It is a skill you refine every day. With every conversation you have, with every thought you express, with every interaction you lead, the journey of speaking Smart is a journey of self-mastery, because the better you understand yourself, the better you can understand others, and the smarter your communication becomes. Your words are now your greatest tool. Use them wisely with clarity, confidence, and awareness. When you do nothing about your life will ever be the same. The end.
Kindly subscribe to my channel.